PlayStation Drive is starting. While you wait, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon on YouTube to be notified of future goodness. If you enjoy our show, we'd love it if you gave us a 5-star review or rating on your podcast service of choice. To continue the conversation, join the Carpool Gaming Discord, where you can find a wholesome community to have a chit-chat with. For some exclusive content, you can also support us on Patreon. And finally, don't forget to check out the Carpool Gaming website for an awesome range of merch. Links to all that and more are in the show notes, but without further ado, let's get revved up for the PlayStation Drive. Whoa!
What's up, everybody? Welcome on in. It's the PlayStation Drive episode 146. I'm also very concerned because, Matt, you're holding up, for audio listeners, a random Switch game and a random PS3 game, and I'm just all sorts of confused right now.
Random? No, these are some of the goats for DLC. Well, I can't speak about
one of them. One of them is.
Wow. Well, I haven't played this one yet, but it's probably one of the goats. Come on, Ron. You're going to be a Xenobabe soon at some point.
Nah, that's never going to happen, friend.
I was going to say, I don't think you're going to win any of us over to become Xenobabes at this point, Matt. I'm so sorry. But of course, here, I'm Ryan. I'm joined, of course, as always, by Fulia, Matt, and Ron. How is everyone doing on this lovely Saturday evening, everybody?
Doing good.
Doing good? Yeah? Having a good weekend so far?
Yeah.
The weather is out of control, Ryan. Out of control.
100%. 110% it's out of control. It just doesn't know what it wants to do anymore, and my allergies can't take it anymore, Matt. It's ridiculous.
So it was like hail storms here in the morning. I think it dipped down to +2. Like I had to bring the winter jacket out 3 days ago. No jacket out. Like it's too hot. It's too much. I can't keep up.
I mean, in the same day, Matt, I saw it hailing outside, but also people out in shorts and t-shirts. Like it's the weirdest thing right now.
That does not sound weird to me. That sounds very normal, very Melbourne weather, 4 seasons in a day kind of scenario.
Excellent. So we've just traveled across the globe, Matt.
You pretty much.
In Australia now. We now know what it's
Our weather has come to you.
Just go outside with an umbrella, winter jacket, and shorts and flip-flops. So I'm
this
covered.
is why we never put away our winter clothes.
Yeah, good point. Also, Yon32 brings up a good point in the chat here. Of course, it's Stanley Cup playoffs time. So it's exciting because the most exciting thing, Matt, is that the Leafs are currently down 4-0 to the Boston Bruins at the end of the second period. I'm so happy right now. I hate the Boston Bruins, but there's only one team I hate more than the Boston Bruins, and that's the Leafs.
The Leafs.
Yeah.
Damn.
Why do people hate on the Leafs so much?
I mean, I don't know. I don't love teams from Toronto. Like I don't like the Jays. I don't like the Raptors. I don't like the Leafs. I mean,
okay.
I mean, most of my favorite teams are actually from our Texas teams. So, like, I like the Houston Astros. I like the Houston Texans with regards to football. I like the Dallas Stars when it comes to hockey, but also the Calgary Flames. And with basketball, I don't really have a favorite basketball team because I just don't watch basketball enough. So.
Well, my favorite NHL team's Columbus Blue Jackets, and I'm like the one random person who likes them.
I didn't even know Columbus had a hockey team, but
they do.
Know.
They've had a hockey team now for like
that much.
They've had a hockey team now run for like 25 years.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't know.
They're one of the newer teams, to be honest.
I don't know. There's been a lot of new teams, and we're getting a new team next year because like. We had the Seattle Kraken come in a couple years ago, and then the Vegas Golden Knights, and then Phoenix is now moving to Salt Lake City next year. So they're going to be like the Salt Lake City Coyotes or whatever they decide.
I think they're going to change their name to the Yetis. I saw that in the news.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think they've like 100% confirmed what the name's going to be. So that's why I'm like, sure. Something like that. So.
It's fine. I won't pay attention to it anyway. Unless it pops up on Sports.
I was going to say, you live in America where it's like, I know that.
Yeah, basketball, football. That's it.
I was going to say, I see you playing NBA and Madden all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, I know that those are your sports. Because those are, like, more American sports anyways. Because hockey just is only mostly in, like, certain parts of America, really. Whereas a lot of people like baseball and basketball and football there. So, anyways, this is not Sportscast. This is the PlayStation Drive, where we talk about PlayStation all the time, except for when we veer into sports territory.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of housekeeping. So we got of course, our website, patreon.com/carpoolgaming, where of course you get all kinds of perks and awesome, cool stuff. And we have a new patron over there, CowboyDangerD, who's joined at the gold membership, the second official tier of the PlayStation Drive. So shout out to CowboyDangerD. Of course,
Yes, let's go.
Cowboy has been really active in the community lately, so it's super cool to see Cowboy join the Patreon, as well as, of course, over 100 patrons over there at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. So if you want to head over there and, hop in the car with us, choose the tier that's right for you. We got some cool stuff over there, like the Patreon podcast for patrons podcast that I did last week. We've also got some other cool shows over there, so head on over there. So without further ado, let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist because we got a lot of games to go through here. So, of course, as always, as we do every week, Ron, I'm going to start with you. What did you play this week, Ben?
So let's see. Finished watching Solo Leveling, which is a great anime. Started Free Ren. Only 3 episodes into that, but I'm enjoying it. And let's see. I think that's it on the anime side. Finished watching Fallout.
Nice. Let's go.
Great show.
And?
Great show. Great show. And I have to say that I'm going to move it ahead of The Last of Us.
Whoa.
Let's go.
Only because
Whoa.
Last of Us is it's like we knew the story for that already. They handled it great. I got to give them props for that. But Fallout did an original story. And it felt like Fallout. It looked like Fallout, and it was great. Yeah, I got to give the edge to it. A question already. Yes, Matt.
Matt from the press pool. So when are we playing Fallout 76 together, Ron?
Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But I am going to go back and play Fallout New Vegas. I had started it years back. Only got a few hours in. PS3 just couldn't handle it. It was just too much jank, too much glitching, too much freezes. So I just left it alone. I am going to go back because that game has me calling to me since I watched the show. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish the fight and go back to that. So
yes,
you gonna play it on PS3 though?
No. I have the 360 version was on sale. I think either this week or last week for $2.84. So I grabbed that. At least I can try to play it on there, and hopefully it'll go better. But yeah, so I got the platinum on Coffee Talk. That was a really good game.
Let me put the crown on your head. You're royal burial.
You dropped something.
I'm not so sure because I think that if anything, I think me and Koala might be tied. I'm not sure about that.
I haven't platinumed anything.
Yeah, but
you were already the rating
champion. Some long games for a while. I'm not really sure. I think I might be at 7 or 8 for this year. I'm not sure. Off the top of my head.
Moly.
I feel like you're 1 or 2 ahead of me now.
Yeah. I was gonna say the last time we did a count run, you were already ahead of her by 1. So you just platinum a new game, so you're ahead by 2 at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
For now, Koala,
you're wearing the crown for a while, I think.
I don't think so. Only because the game I started up is Octopath Traveler. I'm going to be on that for a while, so she has time.
The first Octopath Traveler?
Yeah, the very first one.
Oh, nice. What are you playing on?
Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So,
I have to ask because it's not on PlayStation.
Yeah, it's only on PC and Xbox. That was the only choices I had. So.
Well, what about Swatch?
Yeah. Huh?
Potato.
It's on the potato as well.
Come on. Come on.
I mean, that's what came out first.
I'm sorry, listeners. I had a cold all of a sudden.
God. But you're enjoying Octopath Traveler though?
Yeah. I'm still very early in, but yeah, I'm good with it. I know a lot of people were talking about the grind from it and how that wore them down, but I pretty much grind in every Japanese RPG I play, so this is nothing new to me. I'm enjoying it so far, so I think I'm gonna be all right.
Nice. All right, Matt. What about you, man? What are you playing?
Before I dive into the games I've been playing, I just want to give a quick shout out because I was on Fun and Games Side Quest. I did a mini episode about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for all of our Xenobabes out there. You can check it out. No spoilers, but it's a little love letter to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Even though it's not my favorite, it is the one I think most people should play. Fulia, honestly, I think you should shelve Xenoblade Chronicles 1. That one's dated, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that's that's the one to dive into. And if you're not sure, you can listen to the episode. I think I did.
I already have.
Okay job. Thank you. Oh, Ron from the press pool. Yes.
Friend, I listened to this podcast, and I want you to know that you did a fantastic job. I'm more amazed that the fellow host that you were with did not fall asleep while you were talking about Xenoblade.
No one's falling asleep, Ron, but by default, it's because it's a solo episode. So I'm not falling asleep to my own episode.
I mean, you could have.
I walked into that one, Ron.
Well, I mean, Matt, to make you feel better, Ron didn't fall asleep during listening to the episode. So
I didn't.
If there was someone else there, they potentially wouldn't have fallen asleep either.
Well, I'm not really sure. Yeah. See, supporting my little brother, I'm going to be able to push through anything. I don't know about the average listener.
Yeah. I would like the record to show as well that Yon32 is, of course, stated that the cohesion is officially ended. For listeners, the last week, the cohesion was Ron and Matt agreed about everything, and it was very weird.
The eclipse is over. The eclipse is finally over.
Yep.
Lasted for a quick moment. And then I was also on crossplay conversations with Jacob McCord and Luke Lewis. We did a fantastic episode about remakes and remasters, so definitely check that out. It's kind of similar to what we do on PlayStation Drive, where we talk about like our top favorite, but we did a savage thing on that episode because we came up with games that we want to be remade and remastered, and then we had to cut that list like a savage. Like it was rough, but it was a good episode. Anyways, I started the Backtrackers new game, which is The Veil: Shadow of the Crown, and I've never played a game like this. So this game is designed for people who are visually impaired, and I didn't know what to expect from it. So to give like minor spoilers, like you literally, there's nothing for you to see, except there's like some colorful circles, but that's about it. So it's literally just on sound. And if you're wondering how this works, it's pretty immersive. Like, so if you need to go somewhere, like you have to listen carefully to where you need to go. So for example, I had to buy a weapon from a blacksmith, so I had to listen to where they're smashing swords and follow the direction to that sound. And they don't make it easy for you where it's just that sound. Like you can hear people selling bread for $2, bread for $2. So I've walked into the wrong places several times. I think that's part of the experience. You know what's the funny thing is? There's one part of the game where you actually have a side character with you, and the side character says something like, "Oh, you go find your weapon and I'll wait for you here." And I'm like, "Homie, can't you just walk me to the blacksmith?" Like,
be my guide.
Here you go. Yeah, because in the game you are visually impaired. You're blind. I'm like, you know I'm blind. You can't walk me, but fine. You wait here. I'll go get the sword. Whatever.
What a horrible side character.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. I was like, fine, whatever. And then combat again is all based on sound, where you have to listen to when your enemy's swinging, and you can kind of hear. They kind of do the same grunt, and you have two choices at least so far, which is you can choose to parry at the right option and then smack them, or you can try to smack them right away. But it's all dependent on you can kind of hear them grunting when they're about to hit you. So very unique experience. It is quite challenging because it's all on sound. But yeah, a shout out to this game because it's awesome that developers are making games that are accessible to everybody. And yeah, you can play this game even if you're not visually impaired, but it's really good. One suggestion for anybody who is interested in playing, you might as well just close your eyes and play, because I actually found it distracting to look at the screen with the colorful circles, because I'm tempted to actually look for the blacksmith or the enemies, whereas I figured like if I'm actually closing my eyes, I am actually relying on the sound to figure out where to go and where to parry and stuff. But just started the game, we'll see how it goes. It's a bit hard, and I only have a sword, but there's bows and arrows. I don't know how I'm going to use that, but I'm interested. Nice. And then still on the Rebirth. I'm currently at the Gold Saucer, getting through.
Yes, John.
John 32. It's like Jedi training.
It
is.
That's what it
really
sounds
is.
like.
You basically got like the helmet on, the blast shield on.
Matt's becoming a Jedi. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not easy. But there are story modes for people like me, so you can bump it down. But yeah, I'm just at the Gold Saucer in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm on the date with the person that I wanted, so I'm very happy.
It's Red 13, isn't it?
Who is it? You're not going to say who it is?
Come on, Ron, my man. Who do you think that I worked towards so hard for 50 hours to go on a date with?
Red 13, I know it.
Aerith.
It's the Queen.
Tifa.
Not Aerith.
Tifa.
Queen Tifa. Let's go.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
I mean, that's the only correct answer, Matt. Like, come on.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm very happy that, and just I'll come to a close. But so you have to say certain things to the different characters to go on a date with them. You have to be nice to them. But because I was so paranoid that I might be too nice to everybody, that I might go on a date with Red 13 or Barrett or Aerith, I actually deliberately was mean to all the other side characters when I had interactions, and then I was very nice to Tifa. So I was like, I gotta lock this in. I have to be on the date.
You did the
with
right
queen.
thing. You did the
Thank
right
you.
thing. Can't mess it up now. No.
I was gonna say, like in the original game, that's kind of what it wants you to do with the date in the OG Final Fantasy VII. So like, I imagined in the remake it would be very similar to that.
So it was very fantastic. So yeah, enjoying those 2 games for now, and yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Fulia, how about you?
So I played a few games. I'm still trying to get my run through of Aiden Chronicle Rising done. The game's coming out on
Run out
Tuesday.
of time this week.
I know, I'm running out of time.
Like
I feel like did I say this last time? I'm 2/3 of the way through.
All those fetch quests.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think that's why I'm still stuck. It's because I'm trying to do all of the side quests at the same time. So that's why I'm still kind of stuck around the 65 to 70% of my main story progression. I'm getting there, but I'm just getting there very slowly. But look, I'm gonna end up picking up the game next time I'm at work, so I'll still end up having it ready to go, so that once I am done with Rising, I can just move into 100 Heroes. So really looking forward to it, and especially because I processed my own game. It's ready. It has my name on it. I touched the game.
Oh,
the game.
snap. It's happening so
Excellent.
soon.
Excellent.
Although I will say, again, I've already seen a ton of people playing it. Like it's
Yeah, I
guess,
know,
Like
I know.
some retailers just shipped it like a week early, which is crazy to think about.
All the backers on the Kickstarter got it as well.
Well, the early
so-
ones. I still haven't got mine
Yeah.
yet, so I'm like,
Yeah.
sheesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Kickstarter people, or again, like I think like there's a couple of retailers, like I think Amazon the US, if you pre-ordered it, they just shipped it a week early. Just cuts.
That's not fair.
I know. Same here. I'm patiently waiting. I'm like, oh man, I have a window to start playing this game now, but I gotta wait till next week.
I pre-ordered mine, and mine's not getting shipped to me.
Well, because
We can't break our embargoes.
Again, you live in Australia and I live in Canada, and they're just like, it doesn't work the same way.
Ah, rude. But yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
I've also started playing Dave the Diver.
Dave the Diver.
Yes, Dave the Diver. That's the way I say it. It's normal to me. Or if you prefer, what is it? Dave the Diver.
It's something like that. I remember Amanda saying it like 18 different ways. So that's it's just
I
saying it
gave you
differently
the
and stuck in my
American.
head.
There you go.
Yeah. Excellent.
The proper way of saying it. Yes, thank you.
No. No.
It's the American
Dave.
way of saying anything. Ever the proper way of saying something, Ron?
It's going to depend.
I mean, we all know the correct way to say a boot is by saying a boot and not about. We know this.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, continue.
Dave the Diver has been really good. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. It's chill until it's not chill.
Oh.
Because
Go on, tell us.
you do your deep dives. You go looking for you go underwater fishing, essentially, collecting ingredients for a sushi bar that you help manage, essentially, that you work at. So you have to you have to find these fish or ingredients. There'll be side quests for people who need you to find like items that are down there. Like, please go and see. We heard about this ancient, ancient relic thing that we've discovered. We want to do more research about it. Please go take photos of it, or see if you can find this particular seashell, or So you kind of have to like really explore the ocean as you're sort of swimming through it. The thing is, though, It's like I said, it's chill until it's not. There are fish and sharks that will attack you the moment you approach them.
As
They
Sounds
come
like sharks
swimming
do.
after you. Yes.
Like
Sharks
sharks.
do, yeah.
Yep. That's how to get down.
Yeah. So I've been attacked quite a few times by like an anglerfish. The other cool thing about this game as well is that you get to find weapons underwater as well. So you sort of start off with like a dagger, which you can use to cut down like coral and kelp and all that sort of stuff. But you can also use it to attack the fish with. But then there are weapons underwater that you can find that change out the dagger for either, it could be like a baseball bat, it could be a squeaky toy hammer, it could be a lightning rod.
Why?
none of these seem like good weapons to use underwater, especially a lightning
Especially
rod.
a bat.
No,
Baseball bat.
no.
How are you going to swing it in slow motion?
Run?
How does that work?
No, that's not as bad as a lightning rod, which will kill everything in the ocean, including you.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're right.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
squeaky toy hammer. Who's that going to hurt? What's going on?
It's super effective versus anglerfish by the sound of it.
Yeah. It doesn't honestly, but each of the weapons obviously have their attack power as well. So the squeaky toy only has one attack power, which is nothing.
Oh, well, that
So-
makes sense.
But it squeaks
sense.
when you hit something.
It really does. It
Oh,
squeaks
boy.
in the game too. It's so funny. But you also have a harpoon gun that you use as well,
that's what
which
I'm
you can
talking about.
also change out the different varieties of harpoon that you can find underwater. So like you've got your original one, and then you can get like poisonous ones. Again, lightning. Like a shock harpoon.
Going to kill yourself and everything with it. That's okay.
Poisonous.
That should be a
and
last
shock.
resort.
Like there's variations of harpoons. But then you also have to use underwater guns for like bigger things like sharks. But some of these guns aren't very powerful, which means you need to find more powerful guns. But you can also find blueprints for guns that you can then craft later on, which is really cool. So I kind of like that aspect of it, so that while you're underwater, that you're actually able to change out your weapons whenever you need to. But they're sort of random, of course, so you don't know what you're going to get when you open the chest. The other thing I will mention is that you also have to upgrade your suit and your gear whenever you go diving, because you can only handle a certain amount of depth before your oxygen tank starts to deplete very quickly. So that, and then luckily they have spots where you can get an escape pod, which will then take you back up to the surface immediately. But they've distanced them out in a way that you can still find them, but sometimes you need to be able to swim to them quicker if you're running out of oxygen. But half the time you'll get there, but you also have to hold down the button to access the pod, which could, by the time you get into that pod, you may end up dying because of lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
But there are also places where you can refill your oxygen while you're underwater, which is kind of cool too, like little oxygen tank refills.
Okay.
Or if you come across a clam when you go deeper into the water, the clam's bubbles give you oxygen.
Yes. of
Oh,
course.
just like
Of
in
course it
Sonic
would.
the Hedgehog.
Yep.
Obviously.
Of course it would. Makes sense.
Obviously. Yep.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's
Along
how
with
it
the
works
lightning
down in
rods.
the ocean.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That's like that in Echo the Dolphin as well. So I'm sure the science lines up there.
Yeah. So that's all that kind of like underwater stuff. But the whole point of it is you're diving by day to get all your resources. By night, you help wait a sushi restaurant. So you're there. But the thing is, you get tired because the more popular this sushi restaurant becomes, the more customers come. And then you end up having to try and please these customers. And they don't wait long. They don't give you much of a wait time for you to serve their dish. Because not only do you have to wait for the chef to actually prepare the food, you then have to go over to it, pick it up, and take it all the way to them, which they could be at the other end of the bar, to be So
This is starting to sound like real life. Okay.
Yep.
You have to like rush over there, but then if you rush too much, you get tired quicker, and like there's the stamina and all that sort of stuff, and it just gets to a point where you're like, we need help. I've only just gotten to the stage where I can actually hire extra weight stuff.
I was about to ask about that next. Okay.
Because I was going to say, for a while there, you were just describing the hit game on the Nintendo Wii, Hell's Kitchen, based off the TV show Hell's Kitchen, starring Gordon Ramsay, and it's just like, I don't know if I could deal with that.
No, it's nothing like that. It's more of a just trying to keep up with everybody, and the more people that come to your restaurant, they'll take photos of their food and put it up on their little social media called Cooksta, which is kind of like Instagram but for restaurants. So, and then you have to gain. Like, there's a lot to this game that I'm really. I was just about to say. I was just like,
there's a lot going on with this.
There is a lot.
Like, it literally just took you 5 minutes to explain it because there's just so much stuff going on.
There is so much happening. Yes, Ron.
Koala, please don't deprive the fans of talking about your favorite character, Ellie.
Oh, get out of here! No, stop this.
Hold on, Fulia, I have something for that.
Yes, thank you. Far out.
I'm just going to keep that there for the rest of the show. I was waiting.
Ellie is a side quest character. Essentially, gives you something. Wants you to go find things underwater, but is not really that grateful, not thankful. She's just this. It sounds like she's a college student that's trying to do research, but doesn't want to do any of the collecting herself. She's not doing the work. Okay?
Wow.
She should be doing it herself, and that is why she's stupid. I don't like her.
I don't know why Koala does not like Ellie. This is what you do in ECR.
No.
You do nothing but fetch quests. So you should enjoy
but at least most of them
this.
are actually thankful, and I get something out of it. Whereas with Ellie, she's just like, yeah, this is good enough. That'll do, and not even a thank you.
I'm just surprised that her attitude isn't just like, oh well, you could have just done this faster. You should just do it faster next time.
Well, to begin with, when you first meet Ellie doesn't think that Dave is cut out for diving.
Oh,
No.
she's skeptic.
Judging a book by its cover, essentially.
Oh,
Yeah.
She's starting to sound like upper management. Maybe she's gonna take over your restaurant. Jeez.
Maybe.
Gotta watch out.
Yeah, no. Don't like her.
Wow.
But anyway, that's Dave the Diver. I've been really enjoying it, so I'll definitely be keeping up with that. And the last thing I'll mention, just briefly, Assemble with Care, which is like an indie game, and you're essentially it's a very sort of you need headphones for this. But I played it on mobile because I didn't even realize it was a mobile game because I came across it and I was like, you know what? Let me just check it out and see what I think of it, because I had it wishlisted on Steam for quite some time since it was announced at the Wholesome Direct that they had. I think it was like last year, and it's kind of like a little to the left, where you have to do things where it's sort of like it's very neat and tidy and organized, but then you fix things. You sort of repair like a cassette tape or like bits and pieces like that. And it's very methodical as well. And I like the fact that on mobile, it lets you play the first few chapters for free before buying the full game, which is really nice. So I'm kind of taking it as my way of playing a demo, essentially. That's kind of like my demo. And if I like it, then I will definitely go out of my way to buy the full thing. I don't know whether I want to play it, the rest of it on my phone. Granted, it plays very well on the phone because it uses a lot of the touchscreen mechanics and all that sort of stuff. So it's very nice. But most of the time when I am using my phone, I don't always have my headphones in. So if it's telling me that I need to use my headphones because there's dialogue, there's music, in that instance, I think I'd rather be playing that on PC. It's because I know at least I'll definitely have my headphones in for that. And I won't have surrounding noise, essentially, to distract me. But yeah, it's actually a really nice chill game. I'm really enjoying it so far. There's like a little mini story that goes with it, so it's really cool. Star Athena says, "Do you fix the cassette tape with a pencil?" Yeah, you do. You do.
It's the only way. It's
The
only way.
first job that I had to do was a kid came up and said, "My cassette tape's broken. Can you fix it?" And then so you open up the battery compartment and you change out the batteries, and then you get the tape, which is because all the ribbons kind of come out of it. Then you get the pencil, and then you sort of rewind all of the tape back into the cassette, which is really cool. And then there's some dialogue from the child saying, "Oh, why do you have to use a pencil to fix that? Why would you do that?" And the main character is like, "Well, it's the only way to get the ribbon back in, and that's what we used to do back in the day."
I was gonna say that's the way you actually would fix.
Yeah, everybody's not going to understand that struggle.
I was gonna say
Everybody's not going to understand that.
No,
And you have to make sure to use a
heads,
number
you
2
don't play it.
pencil, not a number 1 pencil. A number 2 pencil, or else it doesn't work.
So yeah, Assemble with Care is really nice and chill and cozy, and I really like it. So I'll probably end up picking it up on Steam at least, so that I can play more of it on a bigger screen.
Okay, nice. That's a fun list of games you got there.
No
Yeah.
God of War update? Has God of War been dropped?
It's kind of shelved at the moment.
Let's
What? Hold on. We
Remove
can't go through
yourself
Ryan's games.
off this
Hold
show
on.
immediately.
Hold on.
That could be
hold
a
on.
Get out of here.
Hold on. No. We need an explanation. Okay. We need an explanation.
I am heartbroken by this.
Yeah. Please. Why has it been shelved? We need to know. Just let us know what's up. What's happening?
I think
Isn't
it's
it?
mostly because of the fact that I started this game. I started God of War on stream, and I don't want to progress like outside of streaming, because I want everybody else to sort of see how I react to the story and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of the reason why I've kind of shelved it just for now, because I need to find
be made.
I need to find time to stream that, and I need to be streaming it on a day where I'm not doing other things on that day.
And then she was
So
going
I
to be
need to
sneaky
have a
about it
free
and not
day.
tell us. You weren't even going to mention it. I had to ask.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
you see? She
Thank
was being a
goodness you
snake.
asked.
Well, I mean,
You're right.
we
Excuse
didn't.
me,
The way the playlist works is we're not like forcing people to give progress about stuff that they've talked about before. That's not.
Also,
No,
I
no,
haven't been
she was
playing
being
it
slick.
for the last couple of weeks, and you're
Uh-huh.
only just thinking about it now.
No. I've been wanting to ask you this, but I was trying to give you a chance to finally come clean about it. But I just finally had to ask.
You're forcing it out of me. Damn you.
You dropped it. I can't believe you.
Shelved it.
I-
Shelved it. Not
So
dropped.
this is-
Not in the trash can yet.
It's shelved. It's not that. Okay, I have discussed this with Sean, on the recording that we did, and I think it's just one of those things where I'm not jiving with the story as much as everybody else has, which is really
It's not cozy enough. It's not enough fetch
No,
quests,
it's
I
not.
guess.
It's got nothing to do with the coziness or
Fetch
anything like
quest in
that.
God
I
of
think
War.
it's just more the. It may just be, it might just come down to the fact that it's not my style of game.
That you hate
essentially,
children
but-
and you don't like
No.
Atreus. That's what it is.
I mean,
Damn.
I was just gonna say, I actually feel like I'm finally not just the only crazy one anymore who didn't love the story in God of War 2018. Like it's one of the reasons why I was like, yeah, that game's okay. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like from what I've played so far, like it's great. Don't get me wrong. It looks good and it plays well. I think it's just I'm not used to that style of gaming for me to be more invested in it. And the story itself as well I think it's just not clicking with me. So
Right there, Jan32 points out.
Thank you,
No one really
thank
likes
you.
Atreus. 100%. 100%.
I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe if it came out on the hot potato, maybe you would actually sit there and have
No,
it a bit higher on your list. I'm feeling
no.
bias here.
I mean,
no. I doubt that. No.
Ron, if it makes you
Also-
feel better, I'd rather just go play God of War or Ghost of Sparta any day of the week over playing 2018 ever again.
I mean,
Because Ghost of Sparta
was
is
great, though.
the real best God of War game.
I'm
I
not gonna
will
sit there and-
eventually
yeah.
go. I will eventually go back to it and finish it off at least. But I'm not jiving with it. That's all.
Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, you heard it here first, everybody. Never worry, 31st. She'll go back to it.
It'll happen. It'll happen. If Julia says it'll happen, I believe her. I believe her.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Glad somebody does. We know better than that. You won't fool us.
Well, anyways, as far as my games are concerned, I played a smorgasbord of stuff this week. First of all, I finished Contra Operation Galuga. I talked about it last week where I was almost done. I was basically on the final level. Finished that. Basically beat it twice because I played through the story mode, and then as soon as I beat the final boss, I then went played through the game in arcade mode, which is basically playing the game without the cutscenes, but you only have like a certain number of lives to get through it. But had a super fun time playing through that, especially with some of the bonus characters that are only available in that mode, like some of the Probotectors, which are kind of these like robot characters that only exist in the European version of Contra, because I guess they didn't want to have people as the main characters in Contra. They replaced them with robots instead for some reason for the European release of Contra. But they put them in here, and they were super fun to play as. So I love the fact that each of the characters have their own unique abilities. And it gives you a reason to try out the game with a bunch of like the different characters. There's like 12 characters in total to choose from, and they all have unique ways of going through the world. So it's super cool. But again, as I talked about it last week's show, I really like that game a lot. It's good, especially if you like old Contra games. But then I played some new PS1 games that we got as part of the PS Plus Extra drop this week. I went back to Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire from the PlayStation 1. This game, for folks that don't know, was actually the game that Factor 5 made before they made Rogue Squadron. And it's actually like a FMV style Star Wars game where, you know, you're flying the ships through some of the levels, and then some of the levels are on ground missions, but they feel like Rogue Squadron missions in a lot of ways. Like, it's got its own unique story. Like, you're not playing through any of the movies or anything like that. You're basically trying to get these plans for these new versions of these TIE fighters that the Empire has developed that have cloaking systems on them. So you're trying to basically, you know, get those plans so then the rebellion can, you know, come up with a countermeasure to stop these phantom ties, as they're called in the game, from destroying the rebellion. And I think it's a super fun throwback to go through. I will say the controls for this game are not great in certain levels. There are certain levels in this game where the controls are very tough, because it will in the FMV, like, the ship will be turning around a corner and it will like magnify you basically to like one corner of the screen, and you have to like desperately fight out of it in order to not get hit over and over again. So it can be a tough game, but this is a game that I'm pretty nostalgic for, because I played it back in the day on PC. I used to own like the big box copy of this game, and enjoyed it back then. And I enjoyed revisiting it on PlayStation, but I didn't finish it because I just didn't really have like the motivation to do that, because there are no trophies for this release.
Oh, come on.
That's a no-go. Wow.
Now, I will say this is consistent with all of the PS1 Star Wars games that we've gotten, because this was the same with Phantom Menace, as well as like Star Wars Demolition. They both had the same problem. So maybe one day they'll go back and add trophies to these games. But it definitely, like, if a game doesn't have trophies like this, especially one like this where it is, you know, more of a nostalgic play more than anything, I'm not always inspired to go to the end because of that, if there's no trophies. So otherwise I would have played through the whole game if there was a platinum trophy for it, I think. But I also checked out another PS1 game, Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare, which Matt, I saw you do a little fist pump there. Very similar to Resident Evil. Like, this was when Alone in the Dark was like, oh, well, that Resident Evil game came out. Let's make a game that's very similar to that. And it's basically like Resident Evil, but, you know, it's more puzzle heavy, and it's all right. It's not an amazing game. Like, it's not as good as any of the Resident Evil games on PS1, I think. Well, except maybe better than Survivor. Like, I don't know, Matt, did you ever play Resident Evil Survivor?
No, I skipped out on that one, and I heard it's not very good either.
Yeah, that one's like tough to go through unless you have the mouse, because it's a light gun game, but it doesn't support the light gun for the PS1, but it supports the PlayStation mouse. So at least you can get through it that way, and it's like at least a little bit easier to get through. But yeah, Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare, I think it's fine, but also suffers the same problem as Rebel Assault 2. There's no trophies at all for this game. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to stick with this game that's not as good as Resident Evil that has no trophies, right? Because like that's just a demotivator for me. Like, I'm just like, nah, I'm good. But The last game I played this week, speaking of Alone in the Dark, I played Alone in the Dark 2024. Now, I haven't finished it because I did something this week with this game that I haven't done in a very long time. I raged at this game so hard. This game made me so angry.
What?
So angry in a way that other games just normally don't do. Or the fact that, on a podcast, like Sean is famously quoted as like being saying like, he don't think he's ever seen me angry before, like on a podcast or anything like that. Like I don't usually let anger out very often, but like this game made me angry. So first off, it's a survival horror game. It's actually very similar to Resident Evil 2. In a lot of ways, like the Resident Evil 2 remake, where you play as two different characters. One's like a private eye, and the other one is like this woman who's looking for her uncle, and they're exploring this, big convent where the uncle is kind of, seeking shelter with these nuns and stuff like that. But he's gone missing. So, of course, Emily, the main character, she hires this private investigator, and they go there, and it takes place in like the 1800s in New Orleans. So it's got this very like old-timey kind of aesthetic to it, because it is actually a remake of the original Alone in the Dark, which came out on PCs back in the early 90s. And in this game, you're basically exploring the convent, and it's kind of like the Raccoon City police station or like the mansion from Resident Evil. And you're using solving puzzles to get through different areas to get to that stuff. And all that stuff I actually really like in this game. It's actually a little bit more puzzle heavy than something like Resident Evil, especially because you're not fighting zombies or anything like that in the mansion. There are no enemies while you're doing any of the puzzle solving, for the most part, at least in the main area. Because the way that it differs from something like Resident Evil is you then go into these dream-like states. Like you go into this dream world. And that's where all the enemies are. Like all the monsters are, where you're fighting these like weird plant monsters and, weird like mutated crocodiles and all kinds of like weird like nightmare fuel like things that you'd get from like that you would kind of imagine in something like New Orleans. So, again, I like the enemy design and I like all this stuff. There's also an enemy kind of like Nemesis or Mr. X that chases you around called the Dark Man. And it kills you in one hit. And some of the sequences with him are really, really tense and cool. So again, I'm saying a lot of positive things about this because again, this feels like Resident Evil 2 light in all the best ways. Like I feel like if you like Resident Evil 2, I think you will really enjoy this game. But there's one problem with it. And this is the thing that made me rage at the game. So this game is quite buggy at the moment. To the point where your character will get stuck in objects all the time by just going out of bounds, including in certain missions where you have to run away from the Dark Man. It's going to kill you in one hit. So I'm basically just to the point where I'm like sitting there for 30 seconds trying to like dodge my way out of this chair that I'm stuck in, but I can't move. And he just very slowly walks towards me and instantly murders me. Or, I walk into the cemetery and then I incidentally clip into one of these graves as I'm walking by it, even though I'm like this far away from it. I still clip into it anyways. And I'm physically stuck there as mutated crocodiles murder me repeatedly. So this happened not 4 times, not 8 times, not 10 times, not 15 times, over 30 times with my count in the first 5 hours of this game. And it has really made combat very annoying because everything else about this game is great. This is actually a game, Matt, where like I feel like this might actually sneak onto my like top game, my personal favorite games of the year, if it wasn't for this. Because it really, again, really reminded me of all the things I liked about Resident Evil 2. But it's just, the getting stuck in the environment kills me.
I'm surprised
not just
you
in the
put
game,
it on hold to wait for a patch. I mean, that sounds pretty damn aggravating.
I'm like this close. Ooh. But it's because I'm enjoying it so much. I'm enjoying the other aspects of the game so much that I've been powering through it despite this.
Man.
Which is too bad because like this game, honestly, like I think this is like when I haven't read any of the reviews of this, but I feel like it's stuff like this that puts it in like that 7 camp that it sits at on Open Critic, where it's like, it's just fine as far as that, because I feel like the problems with the game outweigh its positives for a lot of people. But if it didn't have any of this stuff, like I feel like this would have been like an 8 or a 9 for me. out of 10.
Wow.
I think it's really good, and it would have been a very solid horror game recommendation for people if it wasn't for that. So hopefully, if it gets patched down the line, I hope people actually give it a chance to pick it up, because other than that, I think it's great, and I'm actually really excited to go through the game again with the other character, because just like Resident Evil 2, you get to select between the two characters at the beginning, and like they cross paths at certain times of the story, but you're usually just playing as the one person. So then I'm curious to know like what's different about playing as the other character. And also I've heard there's like a different ending, and also kind of like a B path like Resident Evil 2 does. So I'm really interested to see how that turns out with the second character.
I really need to play this game when it's patched. But like, you sold me on this game. You've sold me. Just gotta wait for that patch.
I mentioned you a couple times because I'm just like, this is like the type of game I know you'll actually really enjoy when it actually functions properly.
You can't play it till 2025 anyway, so it'll be patched by then.
There's that. Well, you never know. It could come to PlayStation Plus before then.
It could.
That too.
It could.
Yeah. But
There you go.
yeah, Alone in the Dark. I wish I could say nothing but positive things about it, but it's just man, just get it. There's nothing more frustrating than bugs holding a game back like that. So it's too bad. But yeah, Yon32 actually brings up, he really enjoyed the 2008 Alone in the Dark in New York City. And I would actually say Yon32. I played that game and also really enjoyed that game, but like this game's way better than that. Like I actually think it's like leaps and bounds better than that Alone in the Dark 2008 game. So in fact, it's probably the best game in the series, maybe even going back to the first game. But anyways, let's move on because it's time for topic of the week. So we, of course, have gotten a deluge of DLC. Huh? See what I did there? Deluge of DLC lately. And we're going to talk about what makes good DLC. Like what gets our juices flowing when it comes to DLC? Like what gets us excited about DLC? Do we get excited about DLC at all? Ron, as you are the wheel master, first of all, does the wheel ever have any DLC on it? Do you actually ever go back and play DLC? Like what do you think about DLC, man?
It's going to depend on the game. If it's a game that I really enjoyed, and if it is a DLC for me, is going to have to be something that either makes a new world, adds new characters, and like more to the story. If it's not a story-based DLC or narrative-driven, I'm not going to bother with it. I'm not one of those who buy DLC because it has extra arenas or extra just anything to push the gameplay. If it's not about the story or pushing that world a little bit more ahead, I'm not going to bother with it.
You tell me you didn't buy all those skins for Atreus?
Nope. Nope, sure didn't. But yeah, man, I mean that's got to be for me. It's got to be something like that's gives value for me. I'm more of a narrative guy over everything else. So if the DLC pushes that or adds more to the story, then I'm all for it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with a lot of those points there. But I'm curious to know, Matt, what do you think about DLC?
I don't think I have an answer in terms of like what I'm like my top priority for when it comes to DLC, because for me, I like it when DLC isn't released too far away from the main game, because I find it very frustrating if it's like 2.5 years afterwards. Number one, the hype's usually gone by then, unless it's like a really special game. And number two, like it's really hard to kind of get back into the mechanics, the world building, because it's been so long. So it's kind of like a bit of a disconnected period. And then, if it's good DLC, they have a brief tutorial, but some of them don't, and kind of just throw you back in. But on the other hand, like, so I guess in my perspective, an ideal time frame would be within a year, because the hype is still there, the muscle memory is still there. But then part of me is like, well, if it's within a year, could you not have just waited and just put this whole thing together? Like, because if it's within a year, are you not just cutting it out separately and just kind of putting it out there for extra monies? Or could you just wait and then, make it one full experience? I'm not sure, right? But I do think time frame release window is an important aspect to it when it comes to what makes good DLC. But I am like Ron, where it's like, if there's different modes, it's fine, but I'm not rushing out to get it. I might pick it up if it's on sale, but I am looking for something that adds more story to it to an extent. I'm very particular when it comes to DLC, because I do feel like if DLC is adding like backstory to characters or gives you a different perspective on the main events a little bit, then it's fine. But if I feel like if it is like this important new aspects and new events that kind of change the main story, I don't like that, because then not everybody buys the DLC. So correct me if I'm wrong. People who played Spider-Man in the DLC. Is there not one Spider-Man like Spider-Man the first game? Is there not one DLC where a significant thing is revealed for a supporting character? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
There sure is. In
You
fact,
know what I'm talking about.
I was gonna say there's actually some like more significant things that happen in that DLC than just one thing. But that one, I know which one thing you're referring to, especially because it came up in Spider-Man 2, and it's just like if people didn't play that DLC, like they wouldn't have known what happened with that character.
Yeah, that kind of stuff does suck. Yeah.
See, that's again, it's nice, but then it's also like, but then if you didn't, if you only bought the main game because games are expensive, you didn't buy the DLC. I feel like you're missing out on something that's important. And then Ryan pointed out, I didn't even know that continues in the second game, so you're kind of missing out. So it's this fine balance of adding more to the game so that it's not just pointless, like a frivolous addition, but at the same time, I don't think I feel like it can't be too significant. Where if you missed out on it, then you're missing out on the lore for the entire franchise. So it's a bit of a balancing act. So very particular when it comes to DLC.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the time frame. Like I know like a lot of people out there, and this actually just cropped up again with like the Star Wars Outlaws announcing their story-based DLC. It's just like a lot of people like always complain about day one DLC, but I'm like, I would rather have day one DLC than have DLC 2 years into the future. Like Tales of Arise, I love that game. But the fact that they released the expansion, the DLC expansion that expands the story 2.5 years after that game came out, I'm like, I am not going back for that. As much as I love Tales of Arise, like I played it at launch and I'm not going to go back to it at this point. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like if it's like, the DLC usually has to come out within the year. And I think to answer your question about like, well, why don't they hold the game back and release it when all the DLC is done? I think it's mostly because a lot of these big companies, like the shareholders they want to appease the shareholders and have the game out by a certain quarter, in order to, have those sales be applied to that quarter. So that's why they can't just wait for that, because they don't want to delay the game for an extra year to tack that extra content on. Because they're still usually, it's not like they're sitting on that DLC and waiting to release it in the year. They're still developing it while that's going on. Like I know, like the Final Fantasy 16 DLC that just came out this week, like that was in development basically up until a couple weeks ago. Despite the fact that that game came out literally last summer, like last June. So yeah, but Fulia, I'm curious to know what you think about DLC. Do you even play DLC? What do you think?
It really, excuse me. It really depends on the game. A lot of the games that I've played don't tend to come with DLC, or it's like a pre-order bonus essentially. And that's what I like about pre-ordering games as well. If they come with like a pre-order bonus DLC, like even if it's like with Hogwarts Legacy, it came with the Dark Arts pack where it's kind of like cosmetic stuff. Then a battle arena and like a thestral mount, so kind of like costumes and all that sort of stuff. So stuff like that I'm okay with when it's like a pre-order bonus, and sometimes when it's like a certain edition as well, there'll be pre-order bonuses. Yes, Matt.
Sorry, what was the name of that game again?
Hogwarts Legacy.
No.
She's saying it the correct way, sir.
No, that is the correct way.
That is the correct way.
Come on.
No, I am not.
We don't do that here.
Hey,
say it with me.
Say that
We
with
don't do that
me.
here.
Say it with us.
Far out.
It's
We're shutting that down now.
No.
That nonsense.
Hog legs Hoggacy.
No,
Stop
wrong.
it, Matt.
Matt,
Wrong.
I'm just going to
Squash
leave
you.
this banner up until you stop.
Yeah.
Get that nonsense out.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so it, like I said, it really depends on the DLC, like the game that the DLC is coming with. I think a lot of the games that I have played that have DLC content is generally games that have like skins or costumes, just appearance sort of changes, which is really cool because I really enjoy that as well. Like Fall Guys is kind of in that sort of vein where you can buy costumes or you can earn them in the game, but if you can't be bothered earning them, you can always buy show bucks to be able to buy them. So So there is that. So that type of DLC is fun. I tend not to spend too much money on stuff like that, just because of the fact that I'm like, the moment I start, I'm not going to stop. So I'm going to be like, oh, this looks cool. I want that one too. And then it'll just, that domino effect will just keep going. It'll be endless. So I've only done it once with Fall Guys, and that was only because there was a koala outfit that I really wanted, and I had to have it. So I was like, you know what, I'm buying that.
That's literally like the easiest slam dunk I can ever imagine for Fulia to buy DLC.
It was the only one. I was like, nah, they got me. I need that koala outfit. Yeah. So I that was the only one that I paid money for. Every other one was earned.
Developers, take note. If you want Fulia to buy DLC, just make a koala outfit.
Koala, just whatever koala.
So the Elden Ring DLC, if they have a koala outfit, you're going to play it, yes? Huh? No?
So moving on.
That's far out, Ron.
Almost had her, Ron. We almost had her.
She thought about it, Matt. She was right there.
She did. Yeah. We're getting there.
The other type of DLC that I don't mind is when there's an expansion to an area in a game. And I feel like Bugsnax does that as well, where there's a DLC for Bugsnax, which is called the Isle of Big Snacks, which is essentially Bugsnax, but bigger in a more sort of a giant scale. And it's an island that you have to travel to by boat in the game. And it's actually really cool because in that instance, you use whatever you've learnt from catching Bugsnax on the main island over on the Isle of Big Snacks, but in a bigger scale. And so you have to it's actually quite fun, and I really enjoy that. So that's the type of DLC that I like when it comes to like when an area is expanded, or when you get like bonus things with your pre-order. So but half the time I don't really play a lot of a DLC content. I mean, Animal Crossing always got updates, extra items put into the game for free up until 2022, where they decided we're going to give you a paid DLC by the name of Happy Home Paradise.
Yeah.
They're still updating Animal Crossing on the GameCube?
No, they're not. It's not the GameCube.
Amazing.
It's Switch.
That's amazing.
It is Nintendo Switch.
The what?
The potato, Ron.
The potato. Yeah, exactly. So that was the last DLC of any kind we got for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Mm-hmm. Because after that, they were like, we're not going to be supporting any more updates for this game. Which obviously means that there's another one coming, which is probably going to come with the next Switch.
Of course there is.
Yeah,
or the next Nintendo console, I should say. But that was like the only time that they made a paid DLC update, like a paid update. Whereas every other time it was free. And I kind of like that when they every time they updated the game, they added something extra to it, you know? That's what I like about DLC as well. The fact that the support goes from start to finish, where you don't have to always go out of your way to pay money for it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. Also, I love the fact that you were describing like the DLC that adds one big area, because that just reminds me of CrocoKyle's suggestion, which is shout out to the best DLC of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
I mean, he's not lying.
I mean, that's just, slam dunk.
He's keeping it real.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
No.
But, yeah.
You're wrong, Matt. You're wrong.
Yeah. Also, I love the fact that you're just open about the idea, Fulia, of being like you don't want to fall down the rabbit hole of DLC, because like it might claim you a little too much. Like sometimes that people do that with gacha games, like Honkai Star Rail or Genshin Impact and stuff like that. Or more importantly, what got me to be like that in that position when Rock Band started introducing DLC for their games, so you could get all the extra songs for Rock Band. Like, I own over 3,000 songs for Rock Band on Xbox.
Nice.
Yeah. That's sort of DLC content where you're paying packs, like the music packs. For
no. there are packs and there are
Yeah.
full albums that you can get, but then most of the songs are individual songs. So you're paying $2 a song.
Yeah. That's the same with Beat Saber as well. So I did buy certain Beat Saber packs, just because of the fact that I really liked the songs by that artist.
Yeah.
But there are also, single songs that you want, and you're like, well, I don't want to pay for the whole thing. I just want one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, you're like, well, I don't really want all the songs off Green Day's Dookie album. So maybe I only want, Basket Case and a couple other ones. So
Yeah.
you just buy them individually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. With DLC, yeah, like I echo kind of what Ron and Matt said for a lot of how I feel about DLC. It's like mostly story-based DLC is usually what I'm into. And I can always feel left out when they add something like substantial to the story in the DLC. So I always prefer when they do story DLC that takes place in the world while you're playing it, while you're doing kind of like a fresh playthrough rather than after the game is over. So then you don't usually run into that problem as often. Like an example of DLC that I actually think is really done well is the Mass Effect DLC across all 3 games, because they kind of, integrate it into the story while you're playing it. And it always feels like like just another part of the game as you're playing through it. But it also feels optional enough where if you don't play through it, the events of that DLC, if you don't play it, don't get referenced in the next game if you don't do it. So I like the fact that there's like that flexibility there that BioWare kind of did with that DLC. Although again, like I mentioned with the Rock Band DLC, like that I can kind of fall down the rabbit hole with some of that stuff. Like also the Sims expansion packs. That's another one for me because I love the Sims 4, as people who listened to the Xbox Drive before know. And I own like all of the Sims 4 major expansion packs at this point, and then some of the smaller packs, because I just really like the Sims 4 and I liked all the things that all the DLC kind of added, but it adds up very quickly if you're not careful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But as far as what makes good DLC, I think it's just good timing, just meaningful impact to the game itself, and just being able to have fun with it for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think those are kind of like the key factor for me as far as what makes like a good DLC pack. So, yeah.
Shout out to Power Wash Simulator as well, because they do really cool they've got really cool things that you can do that are DLC. There's some that are free DLC, and then there's some that are paid. Yep. So, and I know that there's a Midgar area that you can clean power wash in the game.
Yep. There's the Final Fantasy VII.
If you like your Final
crossover.
Fantasy VII, you can clean up the place.
Yep. They actually did a bunch of crossovers.
That's an impossible job.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they've even done Warhammer. They've done SpongeBob. Underwater power wash cleaning.
Yeah. Just go clean the Krusty Krab. It's fine.
Yeah. Look, they've done so many collabs that are either free or paid. Like, it's really cool. Santa's Workshop, if you want to get into the Christmas spirit, clean up Santa's Workshop.
Yep. And of course, you can't actually, like, the last thing I want to mention as well is you can't forget about the biggest DLC packs of all, expansion packs, which of course used to be a big thing for PC games going all the way back to like the early 90s, but are still around with MMOs like Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft. But I love a good expansion pack, like taking the game and adding a whole bunch of stuff to it. Adding new stories, new races or other things you can play as, like new stuff, just a bunch of new stuff. I'm a big fan of new stuff. Like StarCraft Brood War added so much to the game, y'all. You can play with lurkers and Valkyries, and you got some new story. It was great. It's great. But let's grab. All right, it's like I'm transitioning into the wrong transition here. Let's grab some people and bring them in the car with us. It's time for the carpool. Look, I'm old and it's late. I can't help it. We're to start now. I should preface before we start going through these. A lot of these questions, of course, we asked people what their favorite DLC was as well. So a lot of these are going to be people's favorite DLC, but then we've got some questions mixed in here as well. So we're going to start with Darstradius, who says, what were some games which were not great but had great DLC, such as BioShock 2 with its DLC Den of Minerva? Do we have any examples of games that were bad but had good DLC? Because, like, I don't know about y'all, but if a game's not good, I'm probably not going back and playing the DLC for it.
Same.
Yeah, same.
100%.
Not gonna happen.
100%,
Not gonna drop
yeah.
money on that.
Yeah, I just unfortunately, Dire Straits, I don't think I have an answer for you because I don't think I've played DLC for a game I didn't like.
I liked Bioshock 2. I know people poo-poo on that game. Like,
It's not
the
bad.
story's mid, but I thought the combat was quite an improvement from Bioshock 1.
Yeah.
People
Bioshock 2
poo-poo on
was a
that
great
one.
game. I liked it.
Thank you.
I liked it.
See? It was good.
Full disclosure, I was actually a playtester on Bioshock 2, and I actually
Oh.
like that game.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I actually
Yes.
was a playtester on the multiplayer specifically. Because
There was multiplayer for that game?
there was multiplayer
Yeah, it
from
was.
Bioshock 2.
Matt's like, was there?
Yeah, it was like a versus multiplayer mode, like a deathmatch mode, like a bunch of other games. Back.
Nah, people
You're like
people
a-
loved it, man.
Yeah.
People loved it.
Like, it's like Big Daddies versus other Big Daddies and stuff like that?
Yeah. You basically have all the Bioshock powers and stuff, and you're just killing each other with them. It's fun.
Matt, how'd you
Not
miss
bad.
this?
I missed that. No. I think I was steamrolling through the whole collection.
Okay.
So I think I did one, then I did
Okay,
two,
that explains
and
it.
then I did
That
Infinite,
makes
and
sense
that's
because they didn't bring the multiplayer back for the collection.
Okay.
it. Okay, that helps a lot because then
Okay.
yes, I played
that
the
explains
collection.
it
Okay.
then, because I don't know how you missed
Alright.
that one.
Yeah, the multiplayer.
I feel like that.
Bioshock 2 is the only Bioshock game that got multiplayer, and it was only on the original version of the game. So,
Ah, okay.
yeah. And it was developed, I don't know if you knew this, Matt, but it was developed in London, Ontario, Canada. They developed the multiplayer there at Digital Extremes, which, of course, is the Warframe people. So,
Fancy. Look at that. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Shout out to Canada.
Bioshock 2's good. Bioshock 2's good. Come on,
Yeah.
people.
all right, next question comes to us from Black Wyver, who says, The Last of Us Part 1 and Bloodborne DLC are some of my favorites. Spider-Man Remastered had some good DLCs as well. I prefer DLCs that add more story than simply different modes. So agreeing with us there on that one. There are a few more things that also help determine what makes a good DLC for me. Timing of the release from the original game, shorter the better. The content and the length of the DLC, finding that sweet spot is hard. So my question on this topic, which DLCs, in your opinion, should have been made into standalone games? For example, Lost Legacy was brilliant as a standalone game. So I'm going to go first with this one to give you all time to think on this one, because the one that instantly comes to mind, and I mentioned it already, the Tales of Arise expansion just should have been another game. I don't know what they were doing. Like, they should have just made a sequel to Tales of Arise instead of just making that separate DLC pack. Because I understand the reason why they did it as DLC is they weren't prepared to make a Tales of Arise sequel. Whatever is coming next from Tales is going to be something completely different. But like, man, just 2 years after the game coming out, it's just like I would have rather than just have a new game instead of a DLC pack. So that's one. Another is actually another one I mentioned earlier. Like, with all the Sims expansion packs, I wish they would have made The Sims 5 by now. With a lot of the stuff that they've had in expansion packs rolled into it, like, and I know we have a new Sims game coming, but I'm just like, it makes me sad that I wish some of that stuff would have been standalone. But I'm curious to know what y'all think. Does anyone have ideas for this? I'm curious.
I honestly think Undead Nightmare. I mean, yes and no. It should have been like a standalone game because it's it's like one of the best DLCs in my opinion. It's quite wacky though because it's like dark humor in that game because you're fighting a bunch of zombies, and it's very gratuitous. It's very like ham and cheese humor, which is very different from the base game. And I know Marcus O'Neill said distinctively he won't play Undead Nightmare just because when I told him how good it was and like, have you checked it out yet? And he's like, no, because he holds Red Dead 1 in such high regard. The idea of the characters being in this humorous, ridiculous, like outlandish situation kind of almost taints the first game.
I could understand that.
So yeah, so that was interesting because I was like, dude, it's so funny and it's just fun. You're killing zombies. He's like, no, no, no. So when he explained it to me like that, I was like, it kind of did put things into perspective. Like maybe if Rockstar pivoted and didn't actually use John Marston and maybe had different set of characters, still a Western zombie game. Maybe it would have reached Marcus O'Neill and anybody else who was apprehensive to playing that game. And then the only other one I can think of is, and again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not complaining that Witcher 3's DLCs, because those DLCs are so massive, so immersive. Like they literally could have been their own games. Like if they
I
wanted
call
to,
those
they could have been.
expansions. Those things are massively. Yeah,
they're massive. They could have released, and they could release each one and be like full price, and I would have been like, I would have bought it and be like, yeah,
Yep.
this is worth like $89.99 because this thing is massive and its own self-contained story. It doesn't, right? Am I wrong? Like it's pretty self-contained. Like it doesn't have
No, it is. It
massive
is.
ties, right?
Yeah, both of them were.
So I'm not complaining that they sold it for a DLC price, but if they wanted to, they could have because
Yeah, those could have been full
very
games. I would
generous.
have bought them. I could have bought them.
100%. So those are the two big ones that I could see. Otherwise, I feel like DLC usually has to be tied into the main game a little bit to some extent. It depends. It depends. It's hard to pick.
Yeah. No, and most story-based DLCs specifically, like, especially like ones that are tied into role-playing games and stuff, it's just hard to separate it out. Like one that actually I thought about, but I decided ultimately that it's probably better that it actually is part of the main game is something like Persona 5 Royal's extra content could have actually been its own game because it is kind of the length of its own game. But
Yes.
it all, especially like it'd be a good option for people who just had already played Persona 5 and didn't want to play the whole thing again. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, no, it's an RPG and you would have wanted to carry your character over and
Yes.
stuff like that. Like it's harder. Like also something like the Frozen Wilds for something like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like it's a good DLC, but I'm glad that it's like embedded as part of the map and part of the full game rather than its own separate kind of thing. So
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on, we got Kiku who says, I can't really say I'm a fan of DLC. Most of it just seems like a lot of things that should have just been in the game before launch, but instead they got put aside and charge you for it later. Sometimes the DLC packs cost more than the game itself, so I'll often skip a lot of them, a lot of the bonus content, and hope for a reasonable price on it someday. How do y'all feel about this? Yeah, I think we've talked about this a little bit, but I think like for the most part, I think we kind of agree at this point where we usually would prefer to like not spend DLC. Like I don't think any of us are really like these DLC people anyways at this point. I think that it comes across here, and especially like I'm gonna point out something we didn't talk about before, but I play a lot of fighting games. And if there's one thing that you can always count on about fighting games is that they will always have DLC characters, and it's always very annoying to wait for the rollout to come out because sometimes it just takes for freaking ever. And like I am like especially something like Street Fighter 6. I love Street Fighter 6, but I'm not playing it like every like all year for like the 2 years that they have the DLC plan rolling out for that game. So like I have the DLC for Street Fighter 6 because I liked some of the characters they had, early on, but like I'm probably never going to play like the full set of characters that they add for that DLC.
It gets really expensive. Like even I think about like Smash Bros. Ultimate, like how much is each pack? Like $25 here in Canada, like per pack. Yeah. I know you get 3 characters, the soundtrack, so it's not that there's no value, but if there's 3 packs, and it's 25. Like it's almost the cost of the base game. But Nintendo, they know how to Nintendo. Like they're putting in like S tier characters. I can't tell you. Like
some of them are pretty powerful.
Yes, like and I'm not even like a big Smash Bros player, but like I'm telling you, like, I was really tempted to buy Terry from Streets of Rage, right? Or
no, he's from the Fatal Frame, like not Fatal Frame, Fatal Fury. It's like the SMT fighting games. King of
tempted. I was so tempted. I was like, maybe I'll just buy him, and then my friend's like, well, that's like $9-10 just for him. You might as well buy the pack, and I'm like, but I don't want to spend $25. And then I'm looking at Joker, like so. Nintendo really knows how to Nintendo. You're shaking your head with disappointment, Rod. Come on. You don't want Joker in Smash Bros? Hold on.
Smash Bros at all. I'm good.
Hold on. There's a DLC pack with Pyro and Mithra. Respectfully, of course.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's on a system I don't want or own.
No, that's why I bought all the DLC for the Wii U version instead.
Oh my god!
Like when Cloud came to Smash, like you better believe I bought that pack. 100%.
Oh, come on.
With the
I don't know where you guys get the imaginary Nintendo consoles from. After the GameCube, they stopped. I don't know what we're doing.
No, stop it. Sephiroth is in Smash Bros. Ultimate. The DLC. Yeah. Come on.
Oh boy.
Sephiroth.
Oh, okay.
Sephiroth.
They get you.
Make this hell stop. Jesus.
Yeah. You're right. Like the cost really adds up. Like it almost like it turns like a, especially with us back in Canada, because like games here are very quickly approaching $100 before tax, and we live in Ontario where like 15% tax on everything. So it's like, but that's before the DLC, and then after the DLC, like you're getting close to $150 on some games here. And of course, I'm also speaking to like as if fully doesn't exist, because like in Australian money, that's even more money than what I'm even quoting here. So yeah, it's tough.
It's hard. It's hard, especially when like if DLC. Can't think of the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure I've seen some DLC even come out at like $39.99.
Yep.
And it's like almost half price of the game. And again, it's like I'm sure the DLC is good, but like I've already put in like $80 plus tax, and I could put in more. It's hard. I'm not devaluing what the developers have put into them, but it does get pretty costly at that time. So I do make an effort to try to wait for at least to go to half price. Or my favorite is like when they come together, one package, gold edition, deluxe edition, whatever. It's all together. It's discounted. So sometimes it's better just to wait for that version instead, because $39 on top of $89 is like it adds up quickly.
Yeah, I'm thinking like that's kind of how I maybe want to approach Star Wars Outlaws, because I don't know if you noticed, Matt, but that game is 170 Canadian dollars for the version that comes with the DLC, and that's before tax. So it's almost a $200 game, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait for that one to come down in price. It's kind of ridiculous.
I'm hyped for that game. I want to see the gameplay, but I'm hyped. I'm hoping it's good, but like you said, like, is it worth $200 out of the gate?
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless it's like, I don't know. That's a lot.
It's actually like, I really appreciate Mitch on Xbox Drive talking about the idea of like maybe just playing it on Ubisoft Plus. Like I actually wish we had Ubisoft Plus on PlayStation, because like then you can just, hop in, like almost like rent the game, and then you don't have to worry about paying, $200 for a game. But yeah. Of course, Jan 32 says, or free 99 like God of War gave us this year. Free 99's a good price.
Shout out to free DLC from God of War. Ghost of Tsushima, not the Kiki Island one, but wasn't the multiplayer mode added?
Legends mode. Yeah.
Thank you. So free 99's, that's the way to go if possible.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Maybe we'll get Seth to play that one day. We'll see. Next up, we got Rio. I don't know how I'm supposed to say that because there's so many O's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 O's in that name, y'all. All 3 Dark Souls games have amazing DLC. They all add lore, new weapons and armors, some of the best boss fights in the series, and some of the best zones in the series. And overall, it makes the base game much better. Yeah, this is what I talked about, where it's just like, it's kind of like the Mass Effect DLC, where they like integrate, like From Software integrates the DLC into the base game rather than having it be a post thing. So it makes the full game just a more satisfying experience, I think, in a lot of ways, which is good. But next up, we got Cwagmire here, who says Torn of the Golden Country and Future Redeemed are both superb DLC because they flesh out the story and the base game and truly provide one excellent full experience with their base game. Like, Matt, did you hack Quaggy's account here? And
no,
force him to write
It's starting to sound like a hacked account.
I was just going to say,
no.
What? You got him saying the one full experience thing now? Like, what's going on here?
There are dozens of us, Xenobabes, and people who like one full experience.
Oh,
dozens of us. Dozens.
Oh, boy. After everything we built last week, you're just tearing it down this week.
Oh. We had a quick moam, Ron. Quick moam is gone.
It's over.
Yep.
Good God. But, yeah, I mean, I know... But what's funny is that, everyone talks about Torna being like the best, one of the best pieces of Xenoblade Chronicles things out there, except for a couple people on the carpool who are like, this is terrible. Who says that?
I was going to say, doesn't Garrett think it's like what Ron would say, it's cheeks? Does Garrett
I think did tell me it's like the equivalent.
Garrett does not like that. Yeah.
He trashed that game hard. I haven't played it yet. I'm waiting. I really do want to check it out because I did like the second game, and other fellow Xenobabes like it, except for Dr. Blanche. So I'm curious to see where I'll fall on that, because I think he said it's like it's a bunch of side quests, right? And I was like,
he said it's all side quests.
Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, I like the story, but we'll see. Like if I'm fetching everything and anything the whole time, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, this might be a game for Koala.
Posted.
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna come.
You like the fetch quest? I'm just saying.
Yeah, here's 25 hours of fetching apparently, according to Dr. Blanche.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Also, fun, I'm guessing you probably also got that physical around the time they did the reissue, because I actually have that physical too, which is weird to think about.
Oh, I hopped on right away. Yeah, Xenobabes just hopped on that one for sure.
Yeah, I remember a time when that physical copy was like going for like $200 on eBay. It's ridiculous. Before they did the reprint of it, but
It's too much.
yeah. Next up, we got Cowboy, who says, I think when it comes to good DLC, it depends on the game. Me personally, if it's a story-driven game, I want to see more content that adds to the story of the game. Maybe some new character arcs, weapons, levels, etc. A good story DLC adds to the game and gives you just enough to want the full sequel down the line. Absolutely loved Control's DLC and had a blast playing through all the DLC content for that game. Yeah, I know the Controls DLC added a bunch of story stuff, and it even had like the Alan Wake crossover, which is
the Foundation was good. I didn't play AWE because I'm not an Alan Wake fan, so I passed on that one.
Oh, jeez, you must be an Alan Sleep fan then, like Sean.
No, I'm not gonna go that far because I actually watched the Let's Play of Alan Wake 2. That was actually interesting, but the first Alan Wake was
No.
yeah.
Even the remastered version.
Yeah,
sir.
I understand where Ron's coming from, because like I like the story a lot in Alan Wake, the original, but like some of those combat sequences are like terrible.
Nope.
They're hard to get through, especially even in the remastered version.
Marcus O'Neill is like, you have to play this game because you love Resident Evil. And I was like, I'm gonna try to get it from the library because I've seen it there.
I mean,
Ryan, you don't think I'll like
it
it
for free? Don't spend money on it.
You don't think I'll like it? It's not like Resident Evil? No?
I'm actually kind of surprised you don't have it already, because it's been on PS Plus as a free game.
It was.
I missed it.
I forgot about that.
Oh, okay.
I missed that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
I'm not
please
sure.
get it from the library.
Yeah, but I actually
Wow.
agree with Marcus. I actually think it's a game you probably will actually like. But but I definitely think like 2 will definitely be more up your alley than probably the first one will.
More modern, I guess, and not so dated and things like that.
Two's just better. Two's just better. It really is.
Yeah, can
two
I skip the first one and just go into 2? Or
No.
I need to
You're
play
gonna
both?
have to watch a Let's
Jesus.
Play. You have to watch a story summary or something.
I
You
was
can't
just gonna say, you have to you have to at least experience the story somehow,
Yeah.
whether it is just watching a playthrough of the original game or something. You have to get that story context.
Yeah, you cannot jump into 2 without knowing the first. Ain't no way.
Is there a good map? Am I gonna get lost like I got lost in Control?
I mean, it's not an open world game.
Oh, okay, so it's different. Ron, am I gonna get lost? Seriously?
No, I mean, you technically can get lost, even though it is a linear game.
Yeah,
But
it's open. It's open enough. It's not like open world, but Ryan said it best. It's linear, but it gives you
Sounds
some
like
room.
a game that needs a map.
yeah,
Does it have a
just
map?
like Little Gator
Well,
game.
Does the map work? Does the
they
map
wanted
work?
they wanted to build tension by having you wander around. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the best.
It also
no.
takes place at night, and it's very dark out, so it's kind of hard to see
Yeah.
everything.
You want to be scared,
Unlike
don't you?
Little Gator
Come on,
Game.
Matt. That's what the spooky spooks are for.
Yeah.
I want to get spooky spook, not rage induced. Like I don't know where to go.
No, please,
that's
if you want
different.
that, just go play Alone in the Dark 2024 instead.
Wait, I walk into some walls and fall into some bricks and boxes.
You
while
don't even
someone
have to walk
fucking
on
rip my
the
head off.
walls. You can be a foot away from the wall, and you'll still clip into it.
You're gonna be all right, man. While you're walking around in the dark, losing your way, you'll have the little screams coming across the screen. It's give you an extra little scare. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I don't mind the scares, but as long as if they're screaming at me to tell me where to go, then I won't rage.
Nope.
That's fine.
The screams don't do that for you, friend.
Nope.
You're on your own.
And you have to make sure to get batteries for your flashlight, because if you run out of batteries for your flashlight, then you really can't see anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
It's a
this is
dark
what
game.
Ron would say. I feel like this is what Ron would say. Multipass. Like I'm gonna get lost. I
No,
gotta
no.
recharge the
You're gonna be
batteries.
fine.
Again,
I don't know, guys.
it is fairly linear, so you shouldn't get lost too much.
You should be all right. Should.
You're right.
That's the key word.
Should.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Star Athena chimes in. If your game is big enough to get lost, there should be a map.
Thank you.
100%.
Very much.
Again,
I think she underestimates Matt. Matt can get lost easily.
As per shown during Forza Horizon 5. Lost many times. There was
Oh
a
my
map.
gosh.
That
Dude,
was
get
something
over
else.
it.
Okay, so yeah.
I wish
I
we
do get
had
lost quite
recorded that.
often.
Whoa.
I do get lost. It's true.
This just calls back to last night's Xbox Drive, where Little Gamer Game needs a map. Like, what's going on here? What are we doing here?
It's
Maps
fine.
should be an option. Nope. I think we need more maps. Come on. That worked
More
too.
maps. Just draw out the maps yourself. What you should do then is like, instead of relying on in-game map, you should do what we did when we were kids.
That's
where
right.
you get some graph paper and
Get
you
a
draw
spiral
the map
notebook
yourself.
and you just chart it out.
Yeah. That was the only...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, that was the only way you could beat the original Metroid when you were a child in our day, where there was no online guides, no strategy guide or anything like that. You just get lost because that game it looks all the same. You got to draw the whole map out on graph paper.
I never finished those because I got tired of that. And I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Too soft for that. I'm too soft for that. I'm in Signalis, which is like the indie game like Resident Evil. Isn't there a part where near the end game, there is no more map? I'm pretty sure like near the end of the game in Signalis, the map is gone. And then I was like, yo, I'm so lost. Yeah. But thankfully, like what Brian suggested, internet, people actually drew the map and they're like, here it is, friends. And I'm like, thank you.
Was it on Game Facts? Because those guys be doing some magic. Those guys,
it was on Game Facts.
Bless them.
They drew the map. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
because I was so lost. And
when I was playing Xenogears, I was just kind of like, what do I do in some of these dungeons?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously? No map in Xenogears?
Man, Xenogears is that's a mess. That is a mess.
Actually, like a modern example is do y'all remember the game Carry On that came out about a couple of years ago? It's an indie game where you play as like this monster and it's like a Metroidvania game.
I do. Okay.
Yeah, like that in that game, it's a Metroidvania, but there's no map in it, and it completely takes place underground. So all the areas are all these brown areas. So you just like with like industrial stuff in it, so you can't really tell where you are. It's just very confusing.
Nope.
But somehow Sean Capri managed to finish that game, but I'm like, I can't play through it without a map. It's just too much.
Guy that needs maps.
Look, he needed maps and hotkey. We all know this. That was the thing. Star Athena brings up a good point as well. It's an accessibility issue, I think. I have directional problems related to dyslexia. I know exactly what you mean, Star Athena, because I also have like very mild dyslexia, but it does, pose problems in certain cases where it's like, it's tough for me to remember the exact path without a map. So, especially even for like smaller games like Alone in the Dark, where I'm navigating through this this mansion area, but like I'm referencing the map like every couple minutes because I need to know where to go. Like if it didn't have a map, like I would get lost in that game, even though the area that you're exploring isn't like super big or anything like that. But anyways, last question, comment, concern comes to us from Awesome Dave 1337, and y'all, guess what? This question doesn't have anything to do with Final Fantasy
noticed.
VIII again.
I was completely shocked.
2 weeks in a row. I'm so proud of you,
crap.
Awesome Dave. I'm so proud of you, Awesome Dave. But Awesome Dave says, I think what makes a good DLC is that it expands on the world and story of the game. It also needs to be relevant. Nothing is worse than a cash grab. It needs to feel organic when compared to the base game. Yeah, that's always like a tightrope to walk, because like they don't want to make it too relevant where you feel forced to play it, but they also can't make it feel like a filler episode of Naruto or something where it has no meaning. So they have to find like that right balance in the middle, and I think that's hard for a lot of companies to do. But
anyway. I just think about I think that's why sometimes some games they end up doing like what Ron and I said what we don't like from DLC, where it's like extra mode, raid modes, and things like that, because those ones kind of do feel like a bit of a cash grab, where it's like we're not adding too much to the world building and story, but here's something extra if you do like the combat. I mean, I'm not saying all of them are cash grabs, but some of them feel that way because it's just like a bit of an extra mode. I mean, look, I love The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, I do, but the extra modes, does it justify the new price, especially if you're buying the game out from the gate? I don't know.
Or us Resident Evil fans remember the fact that Mercenaries mode for some of the games was paid DLC. We're like, you had to buy the Mercenaries mode, and it's just like, well, it's free in most of the games. Why am I paying for this?
And it's a good mode, and they, like you said, Ryan, they've already had it in the other games. It shouldn't be that hard to be putting into, right? So to cut it off and make it separate, like it's frustrating. Even Resident Evil 2 Remake, you have to the classical music, you have to buy it.
Yeah,
it doesn't come in the base game. You have to buy it from the deluxe version or separately. I'm like, this is foolishness. I'm a fool for buying it, but still, it's still foolishness that you cut it out.
I bought that too because I wanted the classic costumes.
You guys told on yourselves, and that's why they do it. Because they know somebody will, and when they see those numbers add up, they say we did the right thing.
100%, because they literally did that with Resident Evil 4, with the deluxe version of that game, where you get the old save room theme from Resident Evil 4 instead.
That old save room theme's so worth it, though.
I know it is.
Sorry.
I know
I'm
it is.
sorry.
It's better
Matt
than
is
the
the
new
sole
one.
reason why Naughty Dog keeps remaking games.
I mean, that's the reason why we're getting Horizon Zero Dawn remake. Before you know.
Oh my god! If that really happens, like I don't know, like it. I gotta see what the price is for that thing. Cause come on, like seriously.
You know it's
A
going to
remake
probably
for a
end up
PS4
being a
game?
full price game. You know. It
No,
is.
don't say that.
100%
Are you
it will be.
serious? You think
100%
so?
it will be.
Look what happened with Naughty Dog. They pretty much put out the same game, added like 2 modes to it, and people went out and bought it up.
I mean, it'll actually be more expensive than the original game was when it first launched, probably, because it was launched on PS4.
Yeah, we
as
were
a-
still like in the old days of the $50.
yeah,
$50 or
so
$60
it's going to be a
game, yeah.
$60 game.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt. It's going to happen.
God, PS4. It's not that. It's one generation behind.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
come on.
2017 wasn't that long ago.
No, like look, remaster, better graphics, better frames.
Yeah.
$20-$30, fine. Full
Although,
blown remake and full price.
Stop it, Matt.
Yeah.
You're being biased.
a thought just
You
occurred.
bought
To
The
me.
Last of Us Part 1.
A thought just occurred to me though.
I did.
In 4 years from now, 3 years from now, that game is going to be a 10-year-old game.
It is.
Okay, I know 10 years is a long time, but like when I take a step back, are PS5 games that drastically, significantly better in terms of leaps and bounds from the PS4 games?
I mean, they did The
Or a
Last
remake?
of Us remake 10 years after The Last of Us came out.
Fine, yes. I
Speak
bought
on it,
that.
and you purchased that up
Okay.
real quick. Didn't hear all this
I did.
griping when you went to go get that.
So happy to get that platinum trophy again.
I mean, you didn't even have to do the multiplayer stuff this time.
I know.
Yeah, see? Shame on you.
So you paid more to get less. There you go.
You showed
I'm
it to
sorry.
the world. Naughty Dog bias.
Sorry, Internet. I'm part of the problem. I am the problem, not part. I am the problem.
Oh, God. It's all right. It's you and millions others. It's not just on you.
Yeah. Well, anyways, folks, there's one last thing we got to do before we say goodnight. We, of course, ran a contest this week to give away some games. Of course, this pack very graciously donated to us by Quaggy, and of course includes Assassin's Creed Mirage, The Grinch, Far Cry 6, and Riders Republic, all for the PlayStation 5. And I actually managed to get the games correct this time. So, I mean, bravo to me, I guess. So, of course, I have taken Ron's wheel, and I've co-opted it for this, for our purposes here. We're going to spin the wheel. And yes, I know that, folks, the wheel's a little bit small. This is just what StreamYard does. I don't get it either. So, we're going to spin the wheel and see who wins. So, first of all, shout out to everyone who entered and everyone who took the time to both review the podcast and also rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And yeah, let's see who wins. Spinning now. And oh my God, no! It was foretold.
No way.
It was foretold.
Are you serious?
Kevin, what is going on?
You need to buy a lottery ticket now, Kevin Ainsworth.
Kevin
now.
Ainsworth has officially won this. The fun, and I laugh because someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was. Just,
I ain't gonna lie. When I
can't let
first
Kevin
saw
Ainsworth
that,
win
I was like,
again.
when I saw Kevin's name, I was like, Kevin's gonna win again.
And surely enough.
Yeah. Oh, Rival immediately chimes in.
Rival.
I demand a recount.
The wheel is unbiased.
Yeah.
The wheel.
So Athena,
yeah.
of course,
We
claims
trust the
he
wheel.
always wins.
Something's wrong with the wheel.
No,
I-
it's not the
Nope,
wheel's fault.
nope. It's not
Yep.
the wheel. It's
That's
not.
all fate driven. Fate driven.
Yep.
The-
I
the-
hate
Kevin's a
this
wizard.
RNG.
I'm going to also just put on the record here that before the previous winner of winners was Skinny Matt, who won, I think at one Extra Life, he won like 5 of the top 6 prizes and then continued this giant
remember
winning
that.
streak after that.
Yeah.
And I think Kevin Ainsworth has now supplanted him as like the game giveaway champion. So congratulations, Kevin. Of course, over there. at
Congrats,
Save the Game
Kev.
Media.
Congratulations, man.
We love you,
Games
Kevin.
added to the backlog.
Falcon Bros.
So, Kevin, I will slide into your DMs and send you your codes after the show.
Lockworth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kevin
Well, I
wasn't
thought
gonna
that
win?
Kevin
No.
wasn't going to win. Oh, my God.
Kevin always wins. He's winning in everything. Stop
Yeah.
it. We all knew this. We knew it was coming. He's a wizard.
Yep.
He's just
The
he
wizard
knows.
wins.
He knows how to play. He knows how to play the game. But
he'll finish these games before you slide into his DMs, Ryan. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal.
he'll finish them before I give him the codes. I don't even know how that works.
He's a wizard.
Kevin Dainsworth.
This is the way Kevin works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I'm curious. I feel like Kevin, since he wins all these prizes, he officially owes us like a write-in review for next podcast about his thoughts on the Grinch on PS5. I feel like this needs to be a thing. I feel like we need Kevin's official thoughts on the Grinch.
Of all the games you make Kevin want to give a review for that one.
Of course.
Maybe it's good.
I was
Maybe
actually
knows?
close to actually buying that so that I could play it as a Christmas game.
You see?
See?
Yeah.
There's other Christmas games to play for you, but
Yeah, thank you.
that's one to check
Thank
out. There's other ones though. There's other ones.
I watched the movie The Mean One, and I'm now craving like a good Grinch experience, and I'm just like, man, that's what we need
No,
to do.
Jim Carrey Grinch is the best Grinch.
No,
Hands
excuse
down.
me. The Mean One is the best
Nope.
Grinch because that's the Grinch horror movie. Of course,
Oh, I
in
don't
line
do-
with like
I
Winnie the
don't
Pooh,
do
Blood
horror
Honey.
movies.
I was
What
about
do
to say, you know that Koala has not watched that.
Then
not watching
obviously you must be excited for Bambi Unleashed, which is coming out soon, which is the Bambi horror movie. It's exciting. It's exciting. But
No.
anyways, let's get out of here. Let's thank all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpool gaming, starting with our ultimate producers, Tony Baker from the Quest 4 Pixels podcast. You can check them out over at youtube.com/quest 4 Pixels today. That's the number 4, not 4 spelled out. Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on this show, as well as the Xbox Drive. You can check out the link tree to all of his music over at Purple Monkey Entertainment, linktr.ee/PME/JIB. Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. You can check them out over at phoenixoverdrive.com, or maybe you want to head over to the Extra Life website, maybe sign up for Team Phoenix Overdrive, and maybe we'll see y'all in New York in November. And Cwagmire, who humbly reminds you, yes, you, the person who's watching at home, I'm pointing at you. That's right, you who's watching this, that the best babes are, in fact, Xenobabes. Thanks, Matt. Our platinum producers, which, of course, the platinum tier, the official tier of the PlayStation Drive, Robby Bobby Miller, Smokin Joe, and Tim Paullin. And our gold members, of course, gold, the second official tier of the PlayStation Drive, Adam K., Adam, Awesome Dave 1337, BobLoblaw, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, CowboyDangerD, CrocoKyle, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, Yon32, Marcus O'Neill, Peje EP, Shane Erickson, Tim Aulph, and Toxic. Huge thank you to all of our patrons. And if you want to hop in the car with us, head on over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Choose the tier that's right for you. Y'all laughing at this, but I'm just going to flash this up one more time here.
Far out.
Because Fulia plugs go.
You can find me on all the places. I stream on Twitch. I do my own podcast and all that jazz. The links for all of that stuff, including my socials, foolishfuji.card.
Card.co.
Card with 2 R's.
God. Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me as Nagachaka on the Discord and on Twitter and on PSN, and maybe we can hook up with Ron to play Fallout 76 together. It might happen.
It might. One of these days, you never know, Ron. He might get you.
Oh yeah. That's the one game they'll do it.
Nice. And Ron, where can people find you playing some Fallout 76?
Savoy Prime. It's going to be at PSN, Steam, Xbox, backlogged. Savoy_Prime on Twitter.
Nice. As for me, you can find me on the old X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Ryan Turford. You also find us on X at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and of course, podcast services around the globe. So, for Fulia, Matt, and Ron, I'm Ryan. This has been episode 146 of the PlayStation Drive. Only 4 more episodes until 150, and we're out. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Adios, friends.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out this week's episode of the PlayStation Drive. Now, before you drive off, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us at Carpool Gaming on socials. Don't forget to check out our awesome merch on carpoolgaming.com, and you can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, where you'll unlock all kinds of exclusive content. Links to everything are in the description.